You have an event coming up. I'm not sure when we'll air this, but the November
Saturday, the 5th.
the 5th. Okay, I was like
We have
losing
our-
track of all days as I sit here. Oh, what?
The grab and go, the vendor fair. We have 8 vendors coming.
So tell me a little bit about that.
We're going to be open 10 to 4 that day, and we have candles and soaps and lotions and jewelry and wood signs, all kinds of, and the truffle lady's coming. So there's quite a few vendors coming to set up it'll all be inside. All
Okay.
the vendors will be set up inside. And it's basically just an opportunity for people to come and do some shopping.
That's
And
wonderful.
these are all people who do a craft or something out of their homes. And so like a small business fair is what it is.
Well, and you obviously can understand and relate and that process of what they're going through and where you're at, and kind of
Exactly.
that space. Are these mostly local? And I guess by local, I'm talking 30
Local.
miles, 40 miles. So
Probably local. We've either met through the Peony Festival or the Farmers Market. I think that's pretty much how I've gotten to know all the people, or even at the winery. I mean, Denny's Wooden Things. He's just somebody that started coming to the winery, and he made some signs for us, and yeah.
the weather looks like it's going to be just perfect on Saturday. Is there a chance? But anyway.
I think it's going to be cloudy. Maybe the's a chance.
But you're inside. It doesn't.
We'll be inside.
Yeah, it's perfect. No matter what, it's going to be a perfect day to be out
Right.
there.
It will.
Have you done stuff like this before, as far as an event like this?
We have hosted this before. It's always been organized by somebody else.
Okay.
This is the first time I've had to organize it.
Yeah.
So it's been a bit of a challenge for me, but it should be in the River Times. I think it's coming out in the River Times this week, and and out on Facebook and Instagram, all the places.
I think it's a great time of year too.
Yeah.
So tell me, tell me about the slushes.
Well, let's see. It was our very first festival in 2019. It was actually had 2 going on the same day. The Peony Festival was going on, and Jane Saddlebag had their wine festival. So we were set up at both places, and the guy set up next to us at Jane's had a slush machine. And he kept handing over cups of slush. And this guy right here was like, we got to have one of these things.
Good stuff.
So it was the year we opened, wasn't it? After
It
things
was.
started to loosen up a little bit, I think our first weekend with slushes was Labor Day. Labor Day weekend of 2020 was when we started running the slush machine, and we never saw it to be, I don't think, what it has turned out to be. And the ability to take them to fairs and festivals with the little bags, that's just amazing. I mean, I don't even remember how the bags came about. I don't know if Jessica found them, our daughter, who is also our media guru.
Oh, that's great.
I don't remember which one of us came across them first, but that was a game changer. People do like
Visibility is everything.
Right.
And I'll have to give a shout out to, it's really the city. The city took a chance on us. We were the first venue. They had a bad experience with beer vendors in the past. And so at the Peony Festival in 19? And 19 was the first time that, in a long time, that they had allowed somebody to set up. And we actually did tastings at the Peony Festival. That was the first time. And that was, and Charlie French was the one, and Carolyn, and but the city, and of course the city council had to agree on that. But it was really, really important for us to come across and very professional in that and do a good job. And so we have noticed that trust and confidence, both sides, has expanded. So then now that down at the on the river, when we have the 4th of July or whatever festivals are going on down there, you'll see slushes being sold and carried around, and probably in wine, and because they know it's being policed, they know that the IDs are being checked and all the right things are being done. So, but the city is the one that gave us the nod that started
they really
it.
did.
Yes, as a community partners, you're both taking
it's
it
huge.
seriously and holding
It
up
was a
holding up
big
your end.
deal,
Absolutely.
And so that's a little bit about how being in Gallatin County, being in Warsaw is good for business too, as far as that relationship and what you've been able to do.
You
Very
got to
much
have
so.
it. If you don't have the relationship in this town, you're probably going to be stymied because it's a two-way street, and I don't know what it's like in any other city, but it's very up close and personal here. And so that was something I really appreciated Warsaw, the city of Warsaw, doing for us. It was huge.
So looking just ahead, just for the next year, are there any big festivals that stick out in your mind right now that you're like, oh, we're going to do this a little bit differently, or we're doing this, or
It'd be nice to do the Derby Festival again if we have that opportunity. This past summer they had a special festival on the Purple People Bridge, and we were asked to be there for that, and so we accepted that invitation. So that was good. So it would be good to do that again, and of course Bands and Barbecue. We've done Bands and Barbecue for several years, and that was good. But we'll keep up with the festivals that become available to us. Of course, River Days, if they're going to do River Days again next year. But yeah, and we'll do our music. We'll have music on the patio. That was just so much fun.
Yeah, and I was going to ask, what has that experience been like? So you're booking artists, and you're finding the right fit, right? Because it's
Right.
you just both need to have the right the right people at the right time. What's that experience been like?
Well, we kind of only had 3 regular. We didn't do as much variety this past summer as I think we will hope to do this next year. It's what was interesting is once other artists saw that we were doing it, they actually contacted us. It's like, hey, do you have any open? Oh no, we kind of booked our calendar, and we're going to have to do that early in 23.
Well, it's a really good venue and a good place to gig out. I've played in bands, and if you can find the right place and the right venue, then you make that partnership. Like we're talking about your relationship with the city. It's like you find a place that isn't, that's the right vibe, the right people, the right, so that I feel like that's kind of a, it's an artistic, cultural kind of hub. You're creating and building from that point of view where people know to look out and seek it, and it's going to be here. As far as that. Okay, so let's talk about how you started and why you started. We'll get there.
We've been asked that question a number of times, and how it got started is I enjoy doing kit wines, and so I got interested in it. I was having success with it because kit wines are set up so that you don't fail.
Okay.
And that's a beautiful thing because depends on what you're doing, it's easy to fail. But so I started to see some success, and then I think because of the wineries that are around the Ridge, there was the Madison Vineyards at the time. There was a number of places that we would go to visit, and we found we had the same location. We had everything that would make it work. So the next thing we knew was that we're planting grapes.
So how long ago was this?
Oh gosh, this was probably in 2008.
Okay.
Started. Oh.
Yeah, about 2008. And so, long story short, I knew nothing, but my knowledge was based on, and the internet was really coming alive. So I was able to research and do a lot of stuff. Purdue, not EKU, but Kentucky University had an established vineyard, and they were also very good about answering questions or even coming out to look at what you got set up. And so that kind of got things rolling, and then then we're getting into harvest. After about 3 years, we started harvesting and producing our own juices, because it was, and again, not knowing the fine tune stuff in terms of tweaking the juice before you put the yeast in it to get things going, and so it was really just kind of shooting from the hip, and so I never really had any comfort in learning, but the learning curve was vertical for a long time. And I'll be honest with you, the learning curve was vertical for about 5 years.
How many acres did you start off with?
We didn't have much. I think area-wise, probably not much more than an acre,
Okay.
acre and a half. but that's a lot of
I was going to say,
grapes.
it's amazing what you can do with an acre. I mean,
Well, I'll give you an example. An acre should yield you around 3,500 pounds of grapes.
okay.
So from that, you need about 15 pounds to generate a gallon of juice. So that gives you an idea of that. That was how we got started. And so it went from then, once we started doing that, then we went from making kit wines, and now we were generating our own juice and fermenting our own juices. And so then we went from 5 to 15 to 25 to 50, so it really started the quantity. It really started to grow. Then we started looking at, it's like, well, what are we going to do with this? So, what we and Beth was really big in getting us started at the farmers market. So we actually started at the farmers market. That's how it got started, doing that, selling stuff on Saturdays down in Carrollton. And so from there, I was getting close to retirement.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the last year that I was working, I don't know if I was on a trip or I came home, but she says, I think I found us a place to set up. I was like, sure enough. And we did. And I really thank the Milers for giving us the nod and letting us, basically, we just rented a room. And that's how we got started. And then it started to really grow a bit. And then we basically took over the bottom of the house. And so that's how we got started. And some of it was because of needing to show a profit and write-offs, and the accounting side that Beth knows a lot better than me. But that's why it got started, to start to show something, and having a business and write-offs. So, and it did. It allowed us to show that and again, we started at the most inopportune time.
And
we started right when COVID was announced. My last trip flying was from Hong Kong back to Memphis, and that was on Christmas morning of 19. 2 weeks later, we get news that COVID has now hit China and on its way here.
right.
And so it was interesting. We never thought, or at least I certainly didn't, I know Beth didn't either, is that I think if we had a business plan, it would have been bad. I mean, if we had a real strong business plan, it would have been bad,
Mm-hmm.
because never did we think that we'd be curbside service, online sales, delivering a product. That never even was a player. But that's what had to happen to make it work.
What, out of all that you went through, when you mentioned curbside, online, what was the hardest, like, to adapt or get started, or is it just you didn't have a choice, so you were doing it anyway, and that's just kind of how it was?
I would say I would probably say, like, just complying with, and I have to, the state was gracious, because and we were actually classified as an essential business.
Okay.
Okay, and that's another day and another song. But
Mm-hmm.
because of that, now the difficulty is trying to determine in that one little area, distancing, what that really equated to in numbers, and who was monitoring that, what was the penalty, what were all of these unknown entities that really nobody could answer.
Right. What's something else that you all wanted? I mean, kind of, what's next? Now that you've gotten this going, you got this started. I mean, yeah, it's a lot. You've really compressed a lot, but kind of, what are some other things that you all want to do?
I think we did it this summer.
Okay. And what is that?
And
this
that
summer?
was providing the community with a place where there was a music venue, place
Right.
to go. It wasn't about the selling of the wine, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
or best slushes. It really, it was about having a place where people felt comfortable. They could bring their kids. And yeah, it was a drinking establishment, but it was a safe place.
Right.
It was a safe place for kids, and it was a safe place for families to come. And that's what I think our goal was this past summer. And carrying that on, next year is another.
It's a great spot.
Right.
It is. It's a good location, and I think if there was a business plan, or if there was anything that would be oriented towards that, it was the fact that we we wanted to be able to, we wanted a product and we wanted something that would be supported by the community.
Mm-hmm.
That's why our prices are a lot lower than most places you would go to. And it's not because this area can't afford it, it's that we want to make it so that it's not an issue and that they would feel comfortable to come back and not feel pressured into doing anything like that. So, and I think probably the biggest thing that we have learned is that we talk about the city. I think as a business, and we're members of the chamber, and we're fairly active in that, is kind of cross communicating with
Mm-hmm.
other businesses so we don't step on each other.
Right.
Because there's nothing that we want to see. We want to see Jules on Main. We want to see Deaton's. We want to see the General Store and Glencoe. We want all of them to succeed. But if we're competing indirectly with entertainment, we're not doing any of ourselves any favors. So I think we're going to do a better job of cross communicating.
Right.
That's going to be something I want to try to encourage the chamber to be part of, so that we're not like the library.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you had things going on here. You had a guy performing at 4:00, and then we had our band starting at 6. Man, if we had done a better job, we would not have crossed over. We would have
Right.
backed off and done it the next weekend.
And I think that, I feel like that's just a lesson of, I think in 2022 we were just all excited to book, right? It didn't matter. We were
Let's
just,
do something.
let's do it. Let's get it in. And now it's like, oh, okay, let's be a little aware and how we can build on that. And I think about that
Right.
too. I'm looking at like chamber schedules and stuff like that,
Right.
where in the past it was just like, we just booked and then went,
Right.
Right.
oh,
Right. I
or-
think that communication is going to be huge. So once the city, after the election, so we know who's going to be the mayor,
Right.
then the city is going to be doing their planning. The party in the parks, I think, were great this past summer.
Right.
And so we tried to schedule things that we knew wouldn't compete with them. And so I think that communication is going to be huge for next summer, making sure that, library and all the other places, we're not competing,
Yeah.
doing something else. But the whole goal is keep the community home. There's enough stuff going on here. You don't need to drive to Florence. You don't need to drive to
Right.
Cincinnati or Louisville to be entertained. It's all right here. And so I think that's, there's always going to be something to do.
Well, and that's, once you're aware of it, you realize there's a lot going on. I mean, the weekends get busy, the stuff like, just chatting like, what's a good date? We sit around and kind of wonder that, like, I'm not sure, like what kind of like that. 'Cause there's just there is a lot going on. Mm-hmm. And in between like what the schools are doing and stuff that like Three Rivers, and I mean, there's always someone stepping up and doing something. So I think that's a really good point. Or like if we try to think of, if we're going to have a program, will that feed into someone else's? Like if they're here, like, when we had concerts at 4, we'd get calls, and it was kind of funny with people coming from out of county, and they're like, okay, so what time will you be done? We want to go to Jules. And they're asking us that, right? And it's like, I'm not sure, but it'll be open, it'll be, but that's also, it also feels good to know that too, though. Like, oh, this is a draw and we're bringing people in.
Right.
That's a nice
More
thing.
than one thing.
Right. Stay, stay.
We get that very much. I mean, on a weekly basis. So, and what's been cool is it becomes a two-way street. Somebody will come to us, not even thinking about eating down on the corner, but we can send them down there, and they've done so for us, sending people to us. So, it's been kind of mutually supporting without really having anything verbalized. It's just been happening. So,
And now your tasting room, right? That's open Thursday through Saturday?
Yes. Thursdays, 4 to 8. Fridays, we now open at 3
Oh, okay.
and close at 8, or when the last customer leaves.
Yeah.
We don't ever push anybody out the door. And then on Saturdays, we typically open at noon.
Okay. And so then I think we were talking, you take a little time off the beginning of the year and then kind of ramp back up. So just to kind of look for your schedule and stuff like that. So, well, thank you so much for both of you coming in and talking to me today. This
it's
is
been
you.
interesting. Yeah.
this is great.
This is fun.
I'm here to learn. This is wonderful.
Well, and I'll put a plug in for our paint and sips. We usually have
yeah.
at least one or two paint or crafting nights during the month, and so those are a lot of fun.
Now, it's a really neat idea. And then you're very helpful coming here, and we do programs here at the library. There's no SIP component, but we have the paint component. And what kind of got you into that?
Oh, that's good, man. That's good.
Well, we got to know the people who own Schoolyard
Oh yeah,
Winery.
there you go.
Okay.
And one of the gals that helps them out is an artist, and so I think it was
Yeah.
knowing that they did it, and it's like, oh, we could try that. And so
Right.
Jenny came in and did the first class for us, and she's been back a few times, but
Yeah.
I don't know that we've had her back this year. I think
Yeah,
she's
we
gotten
just-
busy, and
She's busy,
so,
and we've gotten some folks
we've
that are
gotten some local
regulars.
places, local folks, and so that's how it started.
I feel like everything you two touch kind of blows up in a good way. Like it just keeps him busier and gets more popular. She roll your eyes. Yes.
That's an operative word. Blowing
Blowing it up.
Gosh darn, this being successful is painful.
But that has been a lot of fun to, again, offer something for people to do that's here, local. I mean, we've had some folks come in from Florence or Erlanger or whatever, but most of the folks that come are local.
I feel that the experiences go really well, whatever that experience is. Like when we do programs here at the library, we think of experiences and what you can draw from that. And I think that's kind of and it's fun. We're just already, we're like everybody else planning for December 10th, right? And thinking about what Christmas will be like, or what that day will be like, and what we can offer, and because we're looking at roughly 6 hours of some various form of programming the whole day, so we're all revved up, and I know everyone else is thinking kind of the same thing, and I guess that's kind of one of those where it's nice. Everyone's coordinated as far as we all know everyone's doing something on that day, so it's it's the time to visit and stuff like that, and I think it's exciting, and it's exciting when you do that and you get that energy back, and people are very appreciative.
Right. And we'll have vendors in the tasting room again on the 10th of December. So
Okay.
I don't know which ones at this point, but we'll have a few more vendors. Let them sell their wares.
Well, I'm sure, as I say, I'm sure they'll see. I mean, what a great setup. It's you get to be there. You're in the center. I mean, you have to deal with that overhead. You have your product as a vendor and stuff like that. And what a great situation.
Right.
So
yeah, that'll be fun. Looking forward to the parade,
Yes.
the float making. We're going to be busy Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Put the kids to work.
Yes.
Stuffing tissue paper and chicken wire.
this is what you do.
I got to put together a float this year. It has to get done.
We're just happy to be open that day. That's what we're focusing on. We will be here. No, actually, we've got some really cool things planned for that day, so we're really excited.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
Good all day thing. So, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. This was great.
Thank you for
Enjoyed
the
it.
opportunity.
Thanks,
Tom. We
Sean.
Thank you.
appreciate
Appreciate it.